and they're very protective of their wives and children, which is why they make great husbands, as opposed to guys who go to, let's say, Oberlin College and come out and they take a course in Beavis and Butthead 101. But no, go watch Red Belt. It was on Flick. I don't know, not Showtime, something else. I don't know. Stars Channel. Red Belt. It came out of nowhere. Guy who plays it, that Italian actor, plays one of the sleazy nightclub owners. He's moved down tremendously over the years. Montana. Joe Montana? Is that his name? Not Joe Montana. Montana, whatever. Montana. He's a good actor, but, he had his day. 10 years ago, he's playing leads. Now he's playing triple C leads. But he's still projecting. And the sleazy loan shark is good with the buggy eyes. He's great. He looks like Madoff's cousin. He's a little bit of a stereotype here and there. The loan shark is a Madoff job. But nevertheless, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And I recommend it. Red Belt. There's a black belt, and then there's a red belt. But the Japanese guys in this movie, the faces on these guys, you talk about samurai, and you talk about samurai faces, and the tattoo. Let's say you're into tattoos, which I'm not into. I do appreciate beautiful tattoo work, but I wouldn't have it on my own body because the Bible prohibits it. I mean, to be honest with you, thou shalt not mark your body, period. So I guess one of the things, my business, not your business. Do what you want. You want a tattoo? Go ahead. I don't care. It's your business anyway. You're not going to care what I say. There's certain things I worry about. That's certain things I don't worry about. I mean, I eat pork and shrimp, but I don't want a tattoo. I mean, you could say it's hypocritical. If you're going to violate one law, you may as well violate all of them. I mean, you could say that. But I would say that eating a shrimp is not the same as killing your neighbor's wife, for example. I made a jump there. It was like a jump and logical joke. It's like a logical jump joke. You know what I'm saying? But in other words, you could violate a little bit. Not the same as the Big Ten on a regular basis. Just because you eat a shrimp doesn't mean that you're going to go and do your neighbor's wife, right? That's actually the best of all of them. You look at them all, and it all boils down in the Bible to, do unto others, you have them do unto you. An old man taught me that 30 years ago. He said, I don't know about religion. He said, I studied them all. I met an old guy in a ship once, blind, old man, 80 years old. I thought 80 was old then, Hey, old man, I was the young guy. Everyone was partying upstairs. I was like bored of the partying. I was looking for meaning on a big trip to Europe. Went down to the old man, sat in the bunk. We had 4 to a cabin. There were 3 young guys and 1 old man going back to Holland. And I looked at him, and he was blind. He looked up. So I said, what is the meaning of life, old man? I was into that kind of stuff. Old man, what is the meaning of life? It was like, I was on a trek. I figured old men knew. Most old men don't know nothing because they were young once. They knew nothing when they were young. How could they know something when they're old? Exceptional men know something when they're young, and they know a lot more when they're old. Ordinary men know nothing ever. Anyway, so I look at him and I say, old man, what is the meaning of life? I figured, who knows? Maybe I was high or something. I don't know. She looks up at me with, staring blue eyes because he was blind, the poor guy. And he says to me, the meaning of life? The meaning of life? He says, well, young man, I don't really know. He says, I guess you're born holding it and you die holding it. So I said, all right, that's the best I can do on a big trip to Europe. That's the knowledge I got from the old man of what's the meaning of life. So I figured I better figure it out for myself. And I pretty much have it figured out for myself, not for you. I have nothing to offer you other than my own views of the world. And it's why I've said to you for 15 years on the radio, this is one man's opinion. I am not a politician. I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I created a niche in radio called Independent Conservative. And here I be. Party of one, Michael Savage, banned in Britain. I'll be right back. Be here or be nowhere.
Your money, your life. How to make sense of it all. I'm Rob Black. Join me weekday mornings at 10 on Talk 910 KNEW.
You know what the evidence of a true democracy is? Loud, forceful disagreement in the political marketplace. When you hear no loud political discourse, you know you're living in a dictatorship. When you hear the Amen corner agreeing with everything the president does, you know that it's over and the republic has died. As long as you can hear voices saying, I disagree with you, Barack Obama. I think you're terrible. I think you stink. I think you're wrong. I think you're crazy. Then you know you're still living in America. You still live in America where there's a hope, where we can still have political discourse. The day it becomes illegal or immoral or dangerous to disagree with the president is the day you've lost your freedoms, my friend. So stay tuned, because I am a lightning rod, of change. I am a lightning rod of hope. I am a lightning rod of disagreement. I am a lightning rod of the changes that you are hoping for, which is a change for the better rather than a change for the worse. Sure, he's giving us change, but this is not the change that most Americans want. And I would say even those who voted for this college professor did not expect so much radical left-wing activism so quickly. Sure, they expected something other than George Bush or that sad old man John McCain, but they didn't expect the neo-Marxist agenda to be forced down their throat. That's not what they voted for. It's all a lie. I want to digress for a few moments because I've been hammering you pretty hard on this issue for a few hours now. I've had conversations with some strangers over the last few days, and I found out that I have listeners where I never knew I had them. I knew I had listeners far and wide, and I knew that the listeners ranged all over the economic scale and all over the ethnic scale and all over the political scale. And I also knew that I had many listeners behind prison bars, and that's because people who are trapped behind prison bars have very few options to exercise their minds. Many of the people behind prison bars never had formal education. Many of the people behind prison bars never had the opportunity to read and to try to understand for themselves what is going on. And they find my show, they may at the beginning not have understood, they would have said he's the biggest you-know-what in the world, but after they've listened to me for a while, they start to say, you know what, this guy makes sense on this, he makes sense on that. And they've heard me say that all of us are one mistake away from being locked up in this country. You've heard me say it. We have more people in prison proportionate to the overall population than any country on earth, and that's a very sad statistic. There are over 1 million people locked up behind bars, sometimes for minor infractions. No one is arguing that we should have tiers for the murderer, the rapist, the pornographer, the counterfeiter, the terrorist. No one is saying that. But there are too many people behind bars in this country, and they're thirsting and they're hungering for something from the American media other than talking about breasts and panties. Somebody talking about something other than a hockey puck flying into a cage. Somebody talking about something other than a moron swinging his arms and hitting a ball. They want to hear something about their life and the meaning of life and why they're behind bars and what they're going to do with their life when they get out from behind bars and how they can make a meaning out of their lives. And I am talking to you if you are in a prison cell or on a Gulf Stream. And I know I'm talking to you if you're behind a prison bar or on a Gulf Stream or in a Chevy or in a Prius. Why? Why do I exist? I exist, my friend, because you want me to exist. If you didn't want me to exist, I wouldn't be here. The reason I exist is because you need me. The reason you need me is because there's a desert out there. There's a desert in the American media, and I am wandering in this desert with you, not trying to make the Red Sea part, but trying to make you see within this Red Sea that you are a part of this sea of life. And this discussion today, if we never have another discussion about this, and I don't know that we will, I often don't get this worked up, but I'm very worked up because I have seen what happens with people who want to do good and where it can lead to. Watch out for the do-gooders. The do-gooders will nail you to a cross faster than you can say Roy Rogers. And they will do it in the name of progress. They will do it in the name of advancement. They will do it in the name of helping you, but you will be hanging from that cross and begging for mercy nevertheless. I am telling you that embryonic stem cell research is not a noble endeavor. It is the exact opposite. I am also telling you that adult stem cells hold as much, if not more, promise. And the only reason this college professor acting as president said to you, we are going to have embryonic stem cell research again, is because he's paying back yet another constituency, which is the abortion racket. The abortion racketeers have broken the champagne open today and are still celebrating as I speak, because they are going to make new fortunes again.
Savage.
The home of the Savage Nation in the belly o' the beast, San Francisco. Talk 910 KNEW and online at 910KNEW.com. Well, it's Labor Day weekend and I'm selling the house. Welcome back to the Savage Nation. Where that phrase come from? I remember when I was a kid working as a busboy in the Catskill Mountains to pay for college. The people would come. The first rush, they go. Some came from Memorial Day weekend and they went home. They took the 4-day. Then the actual mob would show up around the end of June, obviously, July 4th. And it ran through, Labor Day. By around Labor Day, it was the last hurrah. You had to make the money for the whole year for tuition for college. In those days, there was no government loans for kids to go to college. You earned the money to go. You worked your way through college. Your parents paid for it. You didn't go. And life went on. So you did something else in life. But the point is, so we'd work 10, 15-hour days, 7 days a week. We didn't care. We were young. We made money. We didn't ask for a handout. The end of the summer, there was a maitre d' up there. I forget his name. He was a bit of a nut, fat guy. We'll let it go at that. Anyone listening who worked up there knows who I'm talking about. And he had a saying. He would dance around the back bamboree with all the guys working, and he'd say he'd get giddy. In other words, around Labor Day after 10 grueling weeks of working the kitchens of the sweaty Catskill Mountains, serving